What's going on, everybody? I'm going to take you along and show you how I did this 2019 Chevy Equinox for programming of a new power steering rack assembly. So you see here we hooked up the GDS2, we ID'd the vehicle, and the first thing I want to do always is get a complete vehicle DTC scan. So you click on Vehicle Diagnostics, Vehicle DTC Information, and we go ahead and scan this, and you're going to see I start up SI here to browse the current vehicle. Basically, SI is service information because I want to look up the procedure for this job. So here's our complete vehicle DTC scan, and it pings all the modules. It takes a second for this to hit them all, but once it does it pretty quick. Now you can see here we have all these codes in the power steering control module. For the steering wheel angle sensor not learned, we have the calibration not programmed and configuration not programmed codes. So we got a lot of stuff going on here. Now the next step I did was I wanted to create a report. Always save this for your customer, and that's what I'm doing here. And then we went ahead and back into our service information. And I'm looking up, basically I want to see steering gear. GM calls it the steering rack assembly, they call it gear. And as you see here, when I type that in, it will come up with these power steering system here. And the only thing I could find that matched what I was kind of looking for was power steering assist motor replacement. Now this was a power steering motor, but it was part of the whole entire rack assembly. So look here, if you see this, it'll tell you if you're just replacing the motor, you have to do this, pull the information off of the old motor assembly and transfer it into the new one. This has to do with the key cycles or something like that. It says right here that basically if we're doing the electric dual pinion rack and steering replacement, it tells us what to do here. Basically, this is just telling us that yes, you're replacing the whole module so you don't have to go through these other steps. So I look through on control module references here, and you can see here that we're looking for the K43, I believe it is. And K43, I passed it up, there we go. So K43 is the power steering module. I'm looking at programming and setup. And the whole reason I want to do this is a very expensive unit, and I don't want to have to mess it up and have to warranty it out and take care of it. I want to make sure we do the job right, so that's why I read this information. Now check out this part of service information. This is the same on many of these vintage and a little bit older GMs. If you cannot communicate with the original rack and pinions assembly motor or power steering control module motor assembly, you must replace the entire unit or else you're not going to be able to program it. So this is pretty important stuff to pay attention to. So the rest of this is pretty straightforward. We go through the programming first and then the configuration and setup. So I'm going ahead and launching SPS2. Just so you know, if you're using SPS1, the procedure is the same at this point. It'll just look a little bit different, but you've got the same setup going. So once we get this open, always make sure your VIN matches, and we're going to click on Replace and Program. And click on Next. And we're going to look for our K43, our power steering control module. And click on, we're going to click on programming. You see this select function sequence, we have to select programming first. And click on next. And this screen, it shows you an overview. And then this next screen is actually our calibration IDs. It shows them all on one screen. So I go ahead and take this. Now take a look here. You have this one that's unrecognized. And once again, I save this as a record for my customer and for myself for what we did here. At this point, we click on Start Programming. And we'll just speed this up for ourselves. And in all reality, this took about 25 or 30 seconds for the program. This is our warranty claim code. Always take a picture of this or a snapshot. And I'm hitting the clear DTC button at this point. I probably shouldn't have done that. I could have not done that, would have been just fine. At this point, I hit proceed with same VIN. And once again, we find that power steering control module. And now we're going to select setup and configuration. And at this point, it's just about following the instructions on a tool. So this is doing that configuration, and there's a couple things going on in the background. I don't know exactly what goes on, but it's setting this module up for this vehicle. And you see here, it's asking us, what are we doing? So we're exchanging the actuator and steering gear. So we select this. And I don't have this on camera, but I did start the engine. And then I pressed next. And I followed the instructions all the way left until the stop. And then I had to click next. I have my setup kind of like outside the car, so I have my computer outside the car, so I had to reach in there and do this. All the way left, all the way right, and next. Pretty simple, just follow the instructions. Now this vehicle wasn't aligned yet, but basically the steering wheel's getting centered. Even if the toe is off a little bit, it's okay. So I follow these step-by-step instructions here, and we open the door, and at this point I just open and close it, and we had to wait 45 seconds. And then we turn the ignition on with the engine off, and then once again we wait 45 seconds. And click the next button. It was successfully completed, so I take a picture of this because I saved that. Always good to save these things. And we fired up GDS2 again just to check all of our codes. Let's go ahead and always review all our codes and clear them out and see what pops. Sometimes clearing codes through SPS or SPS2 doesn't actually clear them. Every now and then, usually it does, but sometimes it doesn't, so we clear them this way. So at this point, this job is done. I'm going to go ahead and show you here that you can actually access the setup procedures through GDS2. So if you have GDS2, this configuration and setup is actually available in the scan tool as opposed to doing it through SPS. I would recommend using SPS for the configuration and setup, but you can use GDS2 for that if you decide to, or if you just have to do a specific procedure based on your service information. Thanks a lot for watching. You guys have a great day.